Alright, Yayoi has been thrown into a dream by Maya. Is this going to be a happy dream? Or is it going to turn out to be like a nightmare? We'll have to see. After school in the science club, Toru was using the computer to put together the data for the graduation project. Yayoi had thrown her work on Toru and was now reading a foreign science journal that she alone could read. It was a typical afternoon. What's the featured article today? Completely ignoring the all too familiar sounds of a quarrel coming from the main science room, Toru tapped away at the keyboard.
相変わらず遺伝子がどうとか。トールの好きそうなところで言うと、地球の酸素増加がより早い時期に起きてたことを示す積載物が見つかったとか。
I don't know what you just said. I'm gonna be honest.
高エネルギーで電荷がゼロになるとか。夢が広がるわよね。
Okay, something about reducing electrical resistance. Okay, I still don't know. Yeah, it really is like superconductivity at ordinary temperatures.
そこまで行くとまだ SF よね。あ、コーヒー飲む？
It's interesting. Her dream is starting off rather normal. Yes, please. I've been wondering this for a while, but you have a smartphone, so why don't you subscribe through that?
もうしてるわよ。
Then why do you buy things to the club budget that only you can
お
read?
暇に取ってくるのにちょうどいいのよ。科学史で英語。先生方の評判もいいわけだわ。
Ah, so it makes you look fancier.
これで英語の勉強になるって言えばもうバッチリよ。
Yes, of course. And even if they tell we need to show results, we have you here. Toru accepted the coffee, feeling vaguely bitter. Even as he sighed, he continued to type the necessary data. Just then, there was a knock on the preparation room door. The knock was a little loud for a teacher, so Toru and Yayoi stopped moving.
はい、どなたかしら。
俺です、水です。トールいますか？
Yayoi looked at Toru questioningly. Toru had a bad feeling about this and he nodded and stood up, then opened the preparation room door.
こんちはーす、弥生さん。
That's the first thing you're gonna say. Anyways, it's rare for you to come up here during club activities. What's up?
頼むトール。金貸してくれ。
What? I'm not lending you no money. Don't give this dude a dime. Tatsuya suddenly fell to a sitting position on the floor. Though we were taken aback, Toru and Yayoi didn't panic. What for? Tatsuya had hobbies, but he wasn't the type to waste money, and he never made a request such as this. So Toru thought it must be pretty
朝
serious.
日とデートするのに必要なんだ。
絵に描いたような解消なしね。
Why did you even think to go on a date in the first place if you have no money? Toru sipped his coffee with a sour
今
face.
朝、俺のチャリが壊れたんだよ。直さねえと学校も来れねえから、これから直しに行くんだけどよ。
Okay, fair enough. I think that's a reasonable request. Bikes are expensive is what I meant to say there. I wasn't going to say they're not expensive. And I'm sure repairing them can be expensive as well. Oh yeah, you mentioned something about that.
それで修理代がかかるから朝日とのデータ分がなくなっちゃうと。けど
He rides as a hobby, so his bike is expensive. He really broke it.
ちょっと何箇所かな。こないだ遠出した時から嫌な感じはしてたんだが。
Tatsuya folded his arms, still sitting on the
というわ
ground.
けでトール。武士の情けと思ってこの通りだ。
So if I'm understanding correctly, his bike just is riding a little bit different. So it's possibly a little bit out of alignment. It's not really broken per se. Just because he's a hobbyist, it's not up to his standards. Don't give this guy a single cent, okay? Like I said, I'm sticking to the original story. Tatsuya was about to pull off the finishing blow of bowing on the ground when Toru grabbed his shoulders and stopped him. If Tetsuya did that, then as a man, Toru would have no choice but to lend him the money.
それを彼女の姉の前でやるかしら。
Why are you trying to borrow money from a self-supporting student like me in the first place? You have a part-time job, don't you? Don't you have any savings?
こないだちょっと新しい自転車のパーツをだな。
I feel like in America, if you would have had a visual novel, this scenario would have been car parts. And now in Japan, since, you know, kids this age probably don't have cars, it's bike parts.
それで新しくなった自転車でツーリングに行ってあちこち調子が悪くなったと。
Tatsuya nodded meekly. Admit it to your parents and borrow money from them.
そこをなんとかというか親にはもう聞いたんだよ。
Tetsuya clung to Toru's legs. Certainly his bike breaking was a freak accident, and since he used it to get to school, it made sense to prioritize repairing it over anything else. But it was a matter of friendship whether Toru would lend him money to go on a date, even if it was for Asahi. Do we just have a lot of spare money? Like, do we even have enough money to lend him? Sounds like he wants a bit. Seeing his friend's desperate look, Toru was unable to completely turn him down. So how much do you need?
ざっと3万ほど。
What? 30,000 yen? Do y'all know how much that is? That's a lot. That's like 200 something dollars. That's wild. Club Press, tell Asahi that her date is canceled. You're a student. What are you gonna spend 30,000 yen on anyways? You're gonna spend it on something dirty, aren't you?
まあご休憩かしらね。
I don't know. Would a love hotel even cost that much? It's a
違う
lot.
誤解するな服今度俺を冬物見に行こうって話してたんだよ
I can lend you a little. Change your plans. For someone living on his own, Toru's wallet was quite full from helping Yayoi with her part-time job, and from the pocket money he received when he went to hang out at Saki's house. But Toru tended to add extra income like this to his savings, so he didn't like to use it that much. Though because of that, he did technically have money he could
ま
lend.
あまあ哲也も楽しみにしてたみたいだし、よければ私が貸してあげましょうか。
No, absolutely not.
マジっすか弥生さん
Tatsuya looked at Yayoi with a glimmer of hope in his eyes. But Toru got a bad feeling upon seeing Yayoi's perfect smile.
私実家だし、バイト代もあるから余裕もあるし、それに哲也だったら返してくれるって信じてるもの。
当たり前ですよああさすが朝日のお姉さん西すぎる
Interesting. From Tetsuya's attitude, you'd think he was about to start worshipping her and made Toru think that he had really been looking forward to clothes shopping with Asahi. But Toru also had a bad feeling from how Yayoi was acting. The club prez, what are you asking for in return? He probably wasn't going to ask for something boring like interest, but Toru didn't think for a second that she wasn't expecting something in return.
ちょっと朝日に言うだけよ。
弥生さん
that would defeat his manly pride, though. You're a demon.
こんな美人を捕まえて鬼だなんて失礼ね。
I don't know, it's something a demon would say. Anyways, who said that demons can't be beautiful? And do try to keep that humility of yours in check. Yeah, I do feel like a demon would be kind of pretty. I mean, we always depict them as these like evil-looking things. I really think demons would come as these nice-looking people, because that would be an easier way to draw you in. And they, I don't know, I think like caring about your looks so much can be very vain. So I feel like that's something a demon would think about, you know?
トル金貸してくれ
Just borrow from Club Prez. You don't need to put on airs.
家くらい払わせろよ俺だって男なんだぞ
30,000 is too much, and I agree. That's a lot of money just to like casually lend someone for a date that you don't need to spend that much money on. I have my own airs to put on with that money. I don't want to have to use my savings. I really thought of money and savings and money to use on hobbies as different things. That's why he wanted to be able to get through with the money he had on hand. And he's smart for doing so. You should absolutely have a savings.
なんだ俺も金使う用事でもあんのか
Who knows? I'm gonna hang out with Club Prez. If I lend you 30,000, I'm gonna be the one who ends up borrowing money from her. Toru gave a slightly sour face while Yayoi smiled sweetly. Seeing this, Tatsuya stood up and grabbed Toru's shoulders.
トルお前弥生さんといつの間にそんな関係になったんだよ
Wouldn't you like to know?
そういう関係というか、正しく言うと私がトールにたかったのよ。そうせざる。
Oh, frick, I cut her off. I'm sorry. Yayoi smiled in Toru's vague lack of enthusiasm. Tatsuya came to a realization.
お前弱みを握られたのか
You know that Club Prez is a smiling devil, don't you?
美人なら許す
He justifies it. He doesn't care if they're evil. He's like, if they're good looking, you know, deal with it.
映画や小説だと早死にするか主人公かの二択よね。
I guess he's the former. I wonder which one Tetsuya would
い
be.
やそう言うけどよトルお前大丈夫なのか
What do you mean? I don't dislike going out with Club Prez at all.
そうじゃなくてよ弥生さんとデートなんて言ってさきちゃん怒らねえの
Yeah, but nobody cares about Saki-chan, okay? We're with Yayoi now, of course. That's okay. I mean, why would Saki care that much? We're just gonna hang out. Yeah, exactly. She's supposed to be our little sister, right? Toru answered as though it was obvious. Seeing this, Yayoi's face suddenly got serious.
これ夢か。
Oh, does she realize? Interesting. Okay, before we go any further, I want to speculate. Because I noticed, I'm pretty sure we're in a dream right now. I mean, that's kind of implied by what just happened, right? If you guys remember the end of the last episode. One thing that's different, though, that's not a dead giveaway of this being a dream, is that there's not flowers everywhere. I think maybe the difference between Yayoi's dream and Saki's is that Saki bought into it a lot more, and Yayoi seems to be just going along with it. The instant Yayoi muttered that, the world stopped moving. Everyone aside from Yayoi stopped moving. Not only that, but they grew to be so insignificant that you'd think they were cardboard cutouts. By then, Yayoi had already realized this was a dream, and she had remembered the events in the room that happened shortly before.
どうしたのルーティ。この夢はお気に召さなかったかしら。
Interesting. Okay, I like Yayoi even more. Like, I've said that Yayoi's like one of my favorite characters, and I've learned to like her even more now that she just figured the dream out. Seems like she's very on top of things.
お気に召さないというか、騙すんなら最後まできちんとしてほしかったわ。
Damn. Okay, just challenging Maya right now. Like, hey, you should have done a better job. Yayoi didn't get mad, but she lightly poked the figure that had been Toru. It immediately turned into a person-shaped plant, came apart, and
こ
disappeared.
れはあなたの望みだったはずだけど。だとしたら、私はとんだ天の弱だわ。
I wonder if Yayoi is gonna want an even bigger, grander dream. Because I feel like this kind of started off like Saki's, where it's kind of like just happy and like, oh, we're dating, you know, and just very casual. And I think Yayoi wants a little bit more than that. Her ambitions aren't that simple. Interesting. Even though she wished for it, she had noticed it was a lie and destroyed it. But Maya was gazing at Yayoi with her usual smile.
それじゃあ、どういう夢がお望みかしら。
I don't know, perhaps Maya's enjoying this. It's a little bit of a challenge. It's not quite that simple.
望みね。何でも望み通りに行くなら、そうね。
After murmuring about it being a pain, Yayoi raised her hand and snapped her fingers. The fake world made a creaking sound and crumbled away. Really like this effect. Like, it literally looks like each pixel on the screen is like falling. You can like kind of tell what used to be certain things. Okay, now we have some flowers. So we're getting into some real shit here is what I'm seeing. Okay, we'll have to see. Is this gonna convince Yayoi? Because I think Yayoi is probably smart enough to realize that she's dreaming. But would she be willing to give into a dream? Would she be willing to go as far as to say that this dream is so great that she's made and that she likes it so much that she'd be willing to stay there knowing that it's a lie? This time it wasn't just me, but three of us who landed on the ground. Me, Saki, and Alice. Club Prez was nowhere to be seen. Where are we? School? It was definitely the school we attended, of course. The school we went to didn't have plants growing all over the place. Maya had sent us here after saying something about Club Prez's dreams. What was going to happen now? I had a bad feeling about this. As Saki and I looked at our surroundings, Alice was murmuring something to herself. That's quite interesting. Yeah, that's a good point. How would she have known to snap like that? I feel like this is foreshadowing. I just don't know in what way. I don't know what exactly it's trying to imply. And I don't know. I like guessing what's going to happen ahead and then having, like, my guesses either be right or wrong. But sometimes it's nice not to know when you're just like, I have no idea how that's going to go. And then you get surprised because you weren't sure. We'll see. What is it, Alice? Is there something bothering you? Alice waved her hands in a panic. It certainly didn't look like nothing, but I highly doubted that she would even tell me if I asked. Some light would be nice for starters. It was dark, with only the light of the moon coming in from the windows. I could hardly see a thing. Snapped my fingers, at least trying to turn on the hall lights, but nothing changed. It's not working right. Trying something different, I snapped my fingers again, and a flashlight fell from above. Okay, interesting observation. So he snapped his fingers. I'm assuming he wanted the lights in the school to turn on, but they didn't. So he's not able to control the environment around him. But he was able to snap his fingers and create a flashlight. So he was able to bring something into the environment. He wasn't able to change the environment. Interesting. These dreams, I feel like, are getting a little bit more deeper, to say the least. I think there's more depth to them. They're not just going to be so simple like Saki's was. I think anyone could do it if they get used to it. Come to think of it, I remembered that Maya had snapped her fingers once when she was imitating me. If Maya and I were heavily involved in the formation of this dream world, then maybe it was easier to tamper with the dream if we used a method that came easily to us.
そのくらいならあったあった
Alice rummaged into her pocket and pulled out a flashlight. It seemed very unlikely that the flashlight, which is about the size of a plastic bottle, had been able to fit in there. She had pulled a hand mirror out of there earlier too. Could she pull anything out of that pocket? We flipped the switches and turned on our flashlights, so they weren't very bright. I mean, he just was talking about how maybe there's different ways for people to manipulate the world. So perhaps hers is just reaching into her bag and being able to pull out an item that she needs in the moment. For Toru, maybe he's just so used to lucid dreaming that when he lucid dreamed, he would just like snap his fingers to do something, and that kind of manifests in this world. And then for Alice, it's more about reaching to a bag. So there could be like different conditions for which people are able to like kind of introduce things into the environment. Because it sounds like I said before, that they can't really change the environment at the moment. Flip the switches and turn on our flashlights, though they weren't very bright.
それで兄さんこれはどんな夢なのかしら
Lucky still seemed confused by the situation, but it helped that she wasn't panicking. Well, it's Club Prez's dream, and she's the kind of person where it's hard to tell what she's thinking, so as I spoke, we suddenly heard a sound. The sound of something hard and heavy being dragged came closer. We were in a dark hallway without any lights, and the noise was coming from ahead of us. I had a bad feeling about this. Alice and Saki smiled nervously.
ねえマヤちゃんが見せるのって望みを叶える夢じゃなかったの
Well, if stuff she's interested in is fair game, then as opposed to some serious trauma...
ねえねえこれってもしかしてお決まりと言いますか
As soon as Alice illuminated the direction of the sound, I pushed Saki away. A lump of metal swung down right where Saki had been standing. It stuck to the floor of the hallway, and that's when I noticed it was a large, heavy axe. The flashlight flew from my hand and smashed against the ground.
兄さん腕
Apparently, I had grazed my arm because my left sleeve was a deep red. I'm confused. Is this supposed to be like a horror type thing? Is there supposed to be some kind of monster? I'm trying to imagine what Yayoi would have wanted to create in her own dream world. Maybe just something more thrilling. I don't know. Perhaps because it was a dream, I didn't feel any pain, but I couldn't move my arm. There was no time to do anything about it. I had a feeling that the humanoid monster holding the axe was looking at me. Alice, take Saki and run. If it's you, you should be able to escape easily, right?
だけど兄さんはどうするのよ
There was no time to discuss this. My opponent was a humanoid figure with no sense of life in him, just like all the other extras I'd seen until now. But that large man with an axe, who didn't smell like a nightmare, faced me and raised his axe again. Wow, hold on. Damn it, I can't stay here. Take me back to my apartment.
おるそれ死亡フラグ
I barged through some doors and escaped into a classroom. Alice was saying something stupid, but did she take Saki and run? My feet slid a little as I scrambled to the top of the collapsed doors and ran. For all I knew, that axe or cleaver could be driven to my back at any moment. Damn it, what kind of dream is she having? It's a very good point. I'm very, very curious still. I knew what this was. I remember Club Press saying that she liked movies like this. Okay, so it is kind of like a thriller type movie here. Rather than psychological horror, she preferred things with chainsaws or metal nails or crowbars. In that case, my pursuer was likely something from those type of movies. The Axeman was really chasing me. If I was alone, then I could alter the dream and get away. The instant I wondered what I should do. There was a sound like a popping balloon, and the Axeman's head shifted to the side. Oh! Okay. Yeah, of course Saki just has a... is that a machine gun? I'm not quite sure what kind of gun that is. It almost looks like the Japanese, that Japanese pistol. I want to say it's like a Nabu or something, but I don't think that's right. Or Nambu? I don't know. Some kind of pistol like that. And then it looks like a mixture of like a Tommy gun. They stood dumbfounded. It was as though the man's head was being punched over and over again from the side.
頭を狙うんじゃなくて体ごと焼き払うとかしないとダメかしら。
Well, she learned how to manipulate the world pretty quick.
うわ、
Or at least introduce something.
トールの尊い犠牲もあったんだし、今は逃げないとダメだって。後でちゃんと助けに来るから。
We'll come back and save him later. What if there is no later?
ちょっと兄さんを犠牲になんてできるわけが。アリスさん、手を離して。
That weak whining. The voices disappeared down the hall into the distance. The axe man seemed to be damaged and couldn't move. When the voices disappeared, our eyes met, and he swung the axe down at me again. I like how he says our eyes met. What eyes? This doesn't have eyes. Damn it, is he going for who's weaker or closer? Even though Saki who had been surprised when I pulled out a flashlight, she had easily conjured a gun and fired the monstrosity. My little sister is terrifying. I dodged the axe and grabbed a metal baseball bat from a crushed locker, though I doubt this will do any good against something like that. Even if I hit him, it would probably just knock him back like when Saki shot him. It didn't seem like an opponent I could defeat by hitting. Still holding the bat, I flew out of the room from the other set of doors. The traction on my indoor shoes wasn't very good, so they slipped and squeaked as I ran. I do like that one thing this visual novel has is it has these kind of animated scenes. I really like that as opposed to just having a lot of, you know, more static and just having like CGs and things like that. This feels like we're really running in an environment. I just wanted to point that out. From behind, I heard the sound of an axe being dragged along the floor as he followed me. He was clearly one of those generic horror monsters you couldn't get away from no matter how much you ran. The instant I stopped and think, I must have lost him by now. He would certainly attack again. Give me a break. Heading for the opposite direction that Saki and Alice had run, I thought about how to deal with that thing. What should I do? Maybe I could have Saki or Alice prepare some heavy weapons if it came to that. If we did that, it would be more like an action game than a horror movie. By the way, I tried to pull something out with my own powers of imagination, but it didn't go so well. Then from far away, I heard the sound of breaking glass and the gun I had heard earlier. Hope that's part of the illusion, not those two getting attacked. There was the sound of an explosion. Several explosions. What are they doing? But if weapons are allowed, then I should be able to... I rolled away from an attack from the Axeman who was after me. Unfortunately, the back took the brunt of the blow and was bent out of shape. I mean, we already kind of talked about how the bat wasn't going to do much to begin with, so not a huge loss, I would say. No laughing matter, my preparations weren't proving useful at all. While he pulled the axe back, I swung the bat as hard as I could to his face, but it didn't seem to do anything. As unconcerned as a breeze had just blown, the Axeman turned towards me. Probably makes no difference I could only use one arm. The left arm was still covered in blood and wouldn't move. I threw the metal bat away and put more distance between us. What was I supposed to do? Wasn't there some hint on how to beat it, like have it be struck by lightning, or dropped into a furnace, or maybe thoughts and prayers? Oh my gosh, we're not going to use the power of Facebook to get ourselves out of this problem. It was no good. Those weren't the endings for horror movies. They were action movie endings. Seeing that Axeman had started to move, I took off running again. I don't know, there has to be like some kind of event where like we almost die, but it ends up killing him instead, you know? And then we like walk away and we talk about how weird that was, and then we just pretend it never happened. I feel like that's how horror movies go, right? Something like that. I don't know though. Usually like someone will disappear and never come back, so hopefully that part doesn't happen. I would run until I was out of breath, rest, be attacked, and then run away again. I didn't even know how long I had been running. Damn it if I don't do something. Oh no, that's not good. Just as I reached some stairs, I heard Club Prez's scream from the floor above me as she came running down. From behind her, I heard the scraping sound of an axe being dragged along the floor. I don't know, maybe this is where it comes in. She wanted a fantasy where she's saved from like a killer or something. The instant we made out its shape in the darkness, Club Prez and I took off running side by side. Wait, why are you also running away, Club Prez? You're the one who created the situation, aren't you? What do you mean, I think so? The sound of the axe being dragged could still be heard from behind us. Club Prez, how do we kill it? You made the streams. You must know how to do it, right? Don't tell me some bullshit like this is going to be a splatter film until the end. But what? And then what? We wait for their end credits. Just then we heard the sound of the loudspeakers in the halls and classrooms turn on. You were behind this after all, Maya. Of course.
そう？せっかくいろいろと用意していたっていうのに、ルーティってば台無しにしちゃうんだもの。
We were having a conversation through a loudspeaker. Not that I minded since this was a dream. Loudspeakers Maya was talking through clicked one by one, following us as we ran through the halls. What's wrong with ending a dream?
それは仕方ないけど、その後にこんな遊び場を作ってるんだもの。私だってみんなと一緒に遊んだっていいじゃない？だったらマヤちゃんもこっちに来て一緒に逃げ回ればいいじゃない。
Oh, don't tell her. She might.
頼りになる人が優しく姫様みたいに抱っこしてくれるならいいわよ。
Coprez gave me a look that said, call to her, say that you'll carry her like a princess. I get the feeling things will just turn more troublesome, so I refuse. Just then Coprez almost fell. I heard they grabbed her hand and pulled her up.
ちょっとこんな走ったの久しぶりすぎて。
She was out of breath and her legs were shaky. I couldn't run far with Club Prez like this. She was really helpless when it came to athletics. I'm gonna lead us to the pool, so just hang on until then.
なら答えを聞いて簡単にエンディングなんてつまらないと思わない？
Oh yeah, of course. That would be way too easy, right? Maya suddenly appeared next to us. She was outside the window, standing in midair. She snapped her fingers with a grin. Just then, maybe I'd have been paying attention, or maybe Maya had simply changed it. But even though I thought there was a little more distance between us, the Axeman appeared right next to me. By the time I thought, oh no, it was already too late. He let go of the axe and grabbed my shoulder. Shit. Then he casually grabbed Club Prez with his other hand.
第3幕の始まり始まり。
I like how excited she sounds about this. The man threw us towards the window. Unable to shield ourselves, we broke through the glass and went flying out into the empty air. A familiar-looking moon hung in the night sky before me. Wow, okay, we're just getting yeeted out the window. Sure, why not? We're gonna, like, go into another dream? I heard a voice. They were different. Okay, getting lots of these cryptic messages. I heard a voice. That one was different. I was alone. Dull blonde hair, skin that was practically white, my eyes weren't even black. Neither from one side nor the other, somewhere in between. I never belonged to either. So I had to create my own place to fit in. I fell through the darkness. Even though I was falling, I felt the sensation that things were falling down from above me. Came close to hitting the preparation room desk I always ate lunch at and dodged a beaker full of boiling water and bottles of instant coffee. A white lab coat came flying at my face. It smelled like Club Prez. Just as I peeled it off, a school uniform entangled my limbs. I got hit by a bag and almost stabbed by some writing utensils, which I shielded myself against with the bag. It wasn't all stuff I was familiar with. There were also school uniforms I'd never seen. A bed and a desk that seemed meant for home use also came flying. Avoiding everything else, I collided with the bed as though I jumped onto it. These are all Club Prez's things, aren't they? It didn't seem right, I could tell by the scent, but that's how I noticed. All the uniforms so far had been for girls, too. There wasn't a single pair of pants. This was Club Prez's dream, not mine. Maybe I was heading through the rabbit hole and into Wonderland. Then was Club Prez the white rabbit with the watch? Was that why she was dressed like that? Who would imagine Club Prez in that role? As I pondered over this, I saw a different scene as I continued to fall. Oh, so we are going back to her childhood. I was really hoping they would do this with the dreams, like kind of explore their backstories and their past. I mean, I know that would kind of take away from their routes, but I mean, they could do that in the routes too, right? Yayoi was alone. The people around her passed by as if they didn't notice her. A little farther away, people were pointing at her and whispering. If she could have seen them a little better, she probably wouldn't have noticed that they were those human-shaped extras, but she didn't notice.
どうしてあの子は黄色くないの？
Why isn't that girl yellow? I mean, her text is yellow, yours was green.
どうしてあの子はあんなに体が大きいの？
Why is she so big? Like, wait, what do you mean big? Like, tall?
いや、どうしてって言われても、 それは私がハーフだからとしか言いようがないわよ。
That just sounds like jealousy to me. Like, why is she so tall? Well, why are you so short, huh? She murmured to herself, not really answering them, and scratched her head. The noisy surroundings were completely colorless and lifeless. I could feel a sense of alienation.
どうしてあの子は白くないの？どうしてあの子は私たちと色が違うの？いや、どうしてって言われても、それも私がハーフだからとしか言いようがないわけで。
Yayoi B. Lutwidge was biracial. She was born from a British mother and probably an Asian father. In some places, her hair was too dark to be called blonde. Her skin looked pale to Asians, but it was dark for a Caucasian. Yayoi sometimes joked that crossbred dogs get pretty big, don't they? But that was a self-depreciating comment on her own height. Her growth had since slowed, so now we could get away with just being called tall. So she could just get away with being called tall. When she was young, though, she grew especially fast, so the only ones taller than her had been adults. But when she was a child, she had been discriminated against by those around her. When she was in Japan, because of the way she looked. When she was in the West, because of how she didn't know who her father was. The Lutwidge family she was living with now was her mother's older brother's family. Her father had disappeared, and her mother was under the public assistance system. Having grown up in this environment, she...
髪とか肌の色がちょっと違うからってどうだってのよ。
Exactly. Like, who cares? She grew strong enough not to lose her heart over such things. Even though I was there watching, I wasn't really there. I was still dodging various falling objects and watching at the same time. Or maybe I was the one falling. It didn't matter anymore. In the new scene that appeared, Club Prez was crying by herself. Club Prez! My voice didn't reach her. Maybe this Club Prez was a continuation of that dream where she was alone. Or maybe it was the events leading up to that dream, since she looked younger. Though she wasn't actually smaller, the surrounding figures were sometimes human-shaped extras and the other times human, probably based on her mental images of them. In Japan, the surrounding figures were small. Overseas, the kids were the same size. She wasn't always crying. There were times when she wasn't, but in every scene, Club Prez was always alone. The images gradually shifted. The times Club Prez was crying grew fewer. What increased next were emotionless and disinterested expressions. Before long, she started to smile languidly. I kicked away a school bus sign that came flying at me and reached out to Club Prez, who wore a lonely smile, but my hand couldn't reach her. Even so, I understood. Club Prez was there right now. She was being shown the dream of her own experiences. No matter where she went, she was alienated for looking different, so she was always alone. I extended my hand, but I couldn't reach her. I tried to approach her, but I was blocked by silent humanoid figures.
ねえ、醜いアヒルの子のお話って覚えてるかしら?
Yeah, sure. I think a lot of people at least know the basics, right? Maya was suddenly floating next to me as I fell. All I remember is that it turned out to be a swan at the end.
何度も私に読んで聞かせてくれたのに。
I was unable to maintain my position as I fell, so Maya lifted my chin with her hand. She forced me to look straight at her.
アヒルの中に黄色くない汚い体の大きな子が1羽混ざってて、仲間外れにされてる子がいました。親はその子を自分じゃなくて七面鳥の子じゃないかってつまはじきにして、ついにその子は家族から逃げ出してしまいました。
I could see how Club Prez fit Maya's words. There was also an unfamiliar woman who looked a bit like Club
だけ
Prez.
ど、どのアヒルの群れに行ってもその子は受け入れてもらえなくて、一人冬を越すことになってしまうの。そして最後、いつか見た白鳥に、もう嫌だ、いっそあの美しい白鳥に殺してもらおうって近づくんだけど、そこで冬を越して羽が生え変わっていたその子は白鳥の仲間に入れてもらいました。めでたしめでたし。
Club Prez was still alone, happily ever after. Just because the ending is happy doesn't mean everything that came before, like the stuff that made him want to die, was right. Maya giggled mockingly, not seeming the least bit bothered by what I said. I also think it's kind of an interesting story in the fact that, like, you can only fit in with people that are like you or that look like you, instead of the ducks just being more willing to be open and accept someone who maybe looks a little bit different than them, but at least gets along, right? Yeah, I think just to kind of go with what they've been kind of building on about her being different because she's biracial and things like that, instead of just being more accepting and appreciating that, hey, not everyone's the same in life, right? Because how boring would that be? If everyone around you thought the same, they'd look the same. I just don't think that would make for a very interesting life. Sometimes it's nice that people have different cultures from you. They come from different backgrounds. I think that makes life a lot more varied, and I think it just makes for a more interesting time. Because sometimes you learn things from people who are different than you. I think that's important to keep in mind. The ugly duckling may have been rewarded at the end, but Club Prez isn't a swan. If the end was happy, then we might wake up from this dream, but people aren't reborn just because they make it through winter. Club Prez will still be Club Prez. Maya put her arms around my neck in a position as though she was being held like a princess.
じゃあ、あの子がもしも白鳥じゃなければどうなってたかしら。きっとそれは幸せに終わらなかったでしょうね。
Maya grinned and moved away
こ
from
れ
me.
がもしも醜いアヒルの子だったとしたら、ルーティはどうなるかしら。それでも大丈夫。夢の中のお話だもの。たとえ幸せな終わりにならなかったとしても、やり直せばいいのよ。何度も何度でも。ねえ、わかるでしょ？
Huh. So I feel like, and I kind of was thinking this as we went back to the past a little bit. I was thinking maybe she's going to show her bad memories to show like, hey, you don't really have much going on for you in reality. You had all these bad things happen to you. This is what people thought of you in the real world. But in a dream, you can make it so people won't think like that. You can put yourself in a position. You could probably even change yourself in a dream, I'd imagine. You might be able to change your look or who you are. Maybe you can fit in better that way. I think maybe that's where Maya's going with this. Trying to get Yayoi to kind of break her spirit and just want to change herself, kind of make her hate herself, and just be able to change her environment around her. We'll have to see. Maya disappeared as though she'd melted away, leaving only her grin behind. Hey Maya, did she mean there was a possibility that Club Prez would dream of becoming a swan and avert her eyes from reality? I think that's where they're going with this. Yayoi walked to her sister, actually her cousin, Asahi. Asahi didn't know that Yayoi wasn't her sister by blood. That made Yayoi's chest ache, but if her parents weren't going to tell her, then Yayoi had no intention of doing so either. Asahi seemed to be happy. There was a clueless but kind boyfriend at her side. Though that boyfriend was less than faithful when he called out to a cute girl, in this case Saki, Asahi would just place a well-placed kick to the back of his knees. Saki would be shocked at seeing Tetsuya drop to the ground, so she would soon realize that this was an everyday thing between Asahi and Tatsuya. And she would smile quietly. People gathered around them, vague human-like figures whose facial expressions you couldn't even make out. Extras, as I've come to call them. These people who had kept their distance from Yayoi gathered around Asahi. Asahi's father was Yayoi's mother's brother. Okay. And Asahi's mother was Japanese too. Even though they were both biracial, even though they lived in the same house, why were they so different? Why had this happened? The feeling that this was wrong welled up inside her. When among the human figures she saw someone who looked like Toru, although he didn't have a clear form. Just kind of one thing I noticed as I was reading is she's talking about how her parents wouldn't tell Asahi that she technically wasn't her sister. I don't know. I don't know if I agree with that. I mean, as personally for me, I would want to know, is why I'm saying that. I know that's not really too important, but I feel like I'd want to know. I know she's talking about she's happy, but I don't know. Ignorance is bliss, right? I like to know things even if they hurt sometimes. I think it's just good to know what you're working with instead of just pretending things aren't a certain way. Because I think when you really like focus on things, you really acknowledge things, you can get past them, you can learn to live with them, and things get better that way. I feel like when you just kind of have a situation where you ignore it, you're just putting it to the side. It's not leaving, per se. So I feel like it'd be better to know that, but that's just kind of my opinion. The time period of the figures was all over the place. I could see a club pres from when she was little. The club pres didn't look much different than she did now. But I hadn't seen the club pres I knew among any of those so far. She wasn't alone when she was with us, if only she could think of that. But instead, club pres gazed at Asahi and the others from far away. Was she still alone? Why can't I reach? I rolled across the hood of a car, cushioned from the impact by the curtain of a tent like those of the Hong Kong action movies. It was unsightly, but I rolled around and reached out my hand. I couldn't leave her alone in a nightmare like that. Club Prez, realize already, you idiot. You're always appearing, even during some of the most inconsequential of times, lifting people up. But before I could reach her, a nearby Club Prez, glumly waiting by herself with a school bus, disappeared. A soccer ball suddenly flew in from the side and hit me in the face. I angrily sent a rugby ball back the way it came. The mocking voices and laughter were probably in English. The whispers were in Japanese. It's very interesting. They're very aware of different cultures. So we talk about people in English with mocking voices and laughter. I feel like, as someone who generally speaks English and is around people that speak English, yeah, we're a lot more open, I guess, with laughter and things like that. If we see something funny, we'll just laugh in public about it. Whereas I feel like Japanese are more reserved people, so they're gonna be the ones that are whispering, kind of behind your back. They'll definitely talk about you. They just probably won't do it to your face as much as somebody who's, from America. Let's just say that, or from the UK in her case, because her mom's from the UK. Damn, what a pain. Don't you realize it yet? Club Prez, Yayoi. Oh, that was a long time ago. I kicked away an object that came flying at me in the direction those noisy voices were coming from. I used a car as a stepping stone to get myself closer. Why are you so far away now? What are you looking at? She was watching Asahi and the others from just outside of my reach. But if I reached with all my might, it looked like I might be able to reach a different figure. There was a club prez who looked much like she did now. It was during a time when the cherry blossoms were still blooming. She was in front of our school gate looking up the school building. She wasn't wearing a school uniform. I remembered this scene. She turned around, seeming to notice me. My hand finally reached her. The world shifted around. With a thump, I fell to the ground. Ah! Please don't tell me we're doing this Alice-type scene again. Somehow. I had fallen to the sofa I rather enjoyed sitting on, and Club Prez fallen on top of me. A strong, sweet smell enveloped us as she looked down at me. It was the overpowering fragrance of roasted honey and sweets with a hint of the forest. Always gotta have that forest smell. The smell was even stronger than usual, and it was coming from Club Prez. Not good, I was getting dizzy. Club Prez? And Club Prez wouldn't get off of me. She hugged me tightly to her chest. My left arm was still bloody and useless. Even if I moved my right arm, I still didn't know what to do with it. Club Prez's chest was pressed against my face, and the smell of that sweet, mind-numbing nightmare muddled my thoughts, making it hard for me to comprehend what was going on. I nodded without a sound. This practically put my face in her breast, but Club Prez didn't care or didn't notice because she said nothing. It actually hugged my head again. I think her desire for that, so she's talking about being a heroine. Or heroine. I don't know how you pronounce it. I think that's a desire to take control of her situation. So she imagined a situation where she's being chased by a killer and she wants to be the hero. She wants to be the one that figures out how to solve the problem and save the day. I think that's because for a lot of her life, she hasn't really felt like she's been in control. She's always felt like she's been alone and been an outcast, and though she's probably tried to reach out and change that, maybe it just hasn't been successful. And so being in such an extreme situation like that, maybe she could be the hero of the story. Maybe people would like her, Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer comes to mind. As soon as Rudolph has something of value to everybody else and he does something that kind of saves the day, everyone loves him. And I actually think it's kind of a messed up story because it really only shows that until you bring something of value to the table, people aren't going to acknowledge you. People aren't going to appreciate you. And his situation probably wouldn't have changed without that. And I think that's kind of what Yayoi is going through. She's alone, and until she does something that really like wows everybody and like gets them to notice her and change their view of her, it has to be something drastic, or they won't do that. You don't need to tell such obvious lies. At this rate, something bad was going to happen. I did my best to look apathetic. You know where that all came from, don't you? Even I can tell. I hadn't caught a glimpse into her desires. Those had been her memories. There's no logic behind it, but I knew that was the case.
ずるいわよ。はあ、トールに恥ずかしいところ見られた。
I could tell that she was trying to make it sound like it wasn't a big deal. Just then I realized what the source of the smell was. I could see a rose in her chest, even though I could see it clearly. It was there like an illusion that couldn't be touched. It had started to wither a little, but there was a few brown spots. Unlike Saki and mine's, it wasn't red. But that overly sweet smell that wore at my mind was coming from it. You don't think that it's okay to run away in a dream as long as you're happy, right? That crying child, if that past would cease to
どう
exist.
かしら。今まで考えたこともなかったもの。泣いても呪っても諦めても、現実は変わらないし、過去も変えられないし、自分も自分のまま変わらない。そんなの当たり前のことじゃない？
The press was still on my lap. Her face was a little higher up, so she looked down
だ
to
から
me.
急に全部なかったことにして幸せにしてあげるとか言われてもわけわかんないわよ。
That's good, Yayoi. I'm glad you kind of admit that your past isn't something you could change, but it's something that you can hopefully keep moving forward with, right? I don't know, because yeah, I just don't think if you have like bad experiences and bad memories in your past, you can definitely like feel better. Not necessarily about them, but you can just kind of move on with your life, I guess. And when I say move on, I'm not talking about just like ignoring and putting it aside, but you can like work through it, right? You can acknowledge things that happened. You can try to get yourself in a better situation, and then it won't hurt you as much, is what I mean when I say that. So I wonder if Yayoi is kind of being realistic and saying that that's what I have to do. I can't erase it by going into a dream and pretending it doesn't exist. That's not gonna work. The sweet smell crept to my nose and mouth as though it were a physical
だか
object.
らあんな夢はどっちともどうでもいい。楽しそうなのはわけわかんないし、楽しくないのは過ぎたことだわ。
In my mind, the image of the crying child from earlier overlapped with the smiling Caprez I saw before me. Be careful. She blinked in confusion, fighting back something that felt akin to extreme drowsiness. I continued talking. Dreams can be kind and happy, but they're only kind and happy to the one having the dream. People dream alone. No matter what kind of dreams come true, no one else can or will become happy. Even if you understand the dream.
けれど、他の人間に迷惑をかけている罪悪感すらもなければ、それはきっと幸せなんでしょうね。
Yeah, I would agree with that. The press covered my mouth with a
トール
finger.
の言いたいことはそんなとこでしょ。大丈夫よ。今のところそんな気はないわ。もっとも罪悪感すら感じなくなった後はわからないけど。
If you lose to a dream, you lose even the awareness that you might be hurting those around you. It almost kind of sounds like you have to give up a part of your humanity. You have to really just look towards yourself. Like, just only do what makes you happy. You have to be really selfish and self-centered in order to really enjoy a dream. When that happens, of course, you're gonna run away to something kind and happy. Keep your heart strong so you won't lose otherwise.
私を誰だと思ってるの？トールも見たでしょ？辛いのには慣れっこなのよ。
Empress chuckled at the smell of flowers on her. As the smell of the flower on her chest grew stronger, I was able to help myself to reach out to that nightmare flower. But as I thought, although it looked like it was there, I couldn't touch it.
どこ触ってるのよ。
She's like, hey, yo, are you just reaching for my chest right now? Unable to stop my hands, I grabbed a hold of Clint Press's. Whoa, okay, he's really doing it. Soft as her skin, not covered by cloth, made contact with my fingers. I couldn't grab a hold of it, where Alice's shears is the only thing that could remove the flower. Even Club Prez didn't want to immerse herself in a nightmare like that. If I could remove this flower, then the nightmare would end. But it looked like I couldn't touch it, as I was now. I was surprised that there was still a part of me that could think that. My mind was mostly drunk in the softness of Club Prez's chest. Oh, my fingers couldn't move. It was as though they were stuck there. No, I didn't want to move. I wanted to tear off her clothes and grab her. Whoa! Hey, yo, grab at her as much as I wanted. That thought gradually grew stronger. Somewhere in my mind I was still wondering why I felt this way, but I couldn't make it stop. Why did I do that? I don't understand, but the sweet smell.
ドーラ、ふざけるのもそのくらいに。ちょっと、ドーラ
I think we're kind of like falling into this dream a little bit. All this stuff in the air, it's making us not think straight. I was breathing hard. My right hand was still in Klebrez's chest. I wanted to bury my face in her chest, but if I did that, then there would definitely be no turning back. I couldn't look her in the face, but I could tell that she was troubled and confused. I should move away right now. But even though I thought that, I couldn't move my hand. This was like a dream. But it wasn't a dream. What should I do? No, I already knew the answer, but...
もっと触りたいの
Nope, it's a trap. Don't do it. She sounded more nervous than puzzled. I remained frozen, unable to nod. And Club Prez shifted around on my lap.
いや、その足のとこに当たってるのに今気づいたというか
Well, that's... I was so taut in my pants that I couldn't even feel it. I've been pressing against Club Prez's tights through my clothes. It was too late to try to even hide it. I don't know what would happen if I moved in. I might end up really embarrassing myself.
さっきから様子がおかしかったのってその私のせいよね
I finally noticed that Club Prez's words felt the same as the sweet smell. Because of the scent from the flower, which was still white, my head felt like it was on fire. Unable to think right, I could only focus on Club Prez on top of me. Then again, it wasn't like I could calm down just because I noticed that.
どうすればいい
What do you mean? Club Prez's breath brushed against my face, had the same sweet smell.
私のせいならどうにかした方がいいだろうしこのままだとトールも辛いしまずいんじゃないのかなって
Those words tugged at the last of my reasoning, almost to the breaking point. I kind of think this whole situation is dangerous.
我慢してて後でアリスとかサキちゃんが隙を見せたら襲いかからない
I wouldn't have. There's no way I'd...
本当にそれが夢ならまだしも現実でもしそうなったらどうするの
Her words made me pause for a moment.
なんかの事情でサキちゃんをエッチな対象に見たくないのは知ってるけど最近そうも言ってられないんじゃないの
I couldn't deny it. If I encountered Saki in this state, and she clung to me so defenselessly again, that really might be dangerous. My silence, Club Prez gave me a resigned
誰も
smile.
見てないしどうせ夢の中なんだしさすがに夢だからってそう人助けよね
Club Prez put her hand over mine, which was still on her chest.
ある程度なら手伝ってあげるけど
There's no reason to refuse. She was saying it was okay. Okay, I'm getting a strong vibe that we're in a situation like we were with Saki in her dream where we have to make a decision and we can get like a bad end there. I don't know if they'll do that again though. I mean, are they gonna have multiple bad ends or is that just the one? Because it sounds like I've already gotten the bad ending. I don't know. This feels like one of those things where it's like, not quite as it seems. It's a really bad idea to give into this. Prez's body wavered in front of mine. Or in front of me, her chest was before my eyes and her body was on my lap, making my mind even dizzier. Okay, so I actually am getting another decision here. Perfect. Does this mean I can, I'm gonna save real quick. How does that sound? Sound good? I'm guessing there's a bad ending here? Maybe? I don't know. Do I have to resist or I couldn't hold back? I'm guessing this is gonna be a bad end, and we're gonna see how that goes. I was unable to refuse. Are you really okay with that? Though I had to ask, it was too late, even if she said no at this
どう
point.
せ夢じゃない起きてみればああエッチな夢を見たなっ なんて程度で済む話でしょ。
Oh boy, I'm gonna have to censor this, aren't I? I already know. Clipper shifted her position. She sounded like she was giving herself an excuse. She straddled my thighs and brushed her hand against my
夢の
face.
トールはメガネかけてないのね。
I have some circumstances. Her fingers felt cold to the touch, but my mind went to the part of her that was straddling my legs. It was soft in some places and hard in
我
others.
慢できない。そんなに私が欲しい。
I found myself nodding to her words.
体ねってか。ま、この状況じゃしょうがないけど、私だって。
Couldn't hear Club Prez's voice clearly. More importantly, the fact that Club Prez was sitting on my legs and was okay with me taking advantage of her already had me at my limit. I wanted to push her down, but the moment I thought that, she pushed against my chest and sank back in the
奪っちゃダ
sofa.
メよ。今トールに好きにさせたら何されるかわかんないもの。
Eh?
乱暴にされたくないし、そっちから動いたら。
Yeah, I kind of saw Yayoi's a top. I can be gentle.
その場合はきっと抵抗できないでしょうけど、後でサキちゃんに言うわ。
That was all it took to stop me in my tracks. I thought that might have made my crotch calm down a little bit, but I wasn't settling down at all.
よしよし、いい子ね。そうやっておとなしくしてれば気持ちよくしてあげるから。とダメよね。
Yeah, with all the stuff y'all just did, okay. She gave me a mischievous look and smiled with her usual smile. It made it look like she was planning something. The flower must have been as sharp as a razor. Instead of a crushed flower, petals, drops of blood dripped from my hand. So it was kind of still in the middle of what was going on, so I didn't want to show it, but he pretty much like grabbed a white flower by her chest, and then he tried to like crush it. So, not sure what exactly happened there. I don't know, was that a bad dream, or was that just like an alternative? I have no idea. Meanwhile, Saki and Alice were...
こういうものがあるなら最初から用意してください。
Was that like an option, like I could choose either or? I have no idea. Maybe that was what I was supposed to do. I'm not sure.
あ、あ、
Or maybe this is an ending? I have no idea. Okay, so I just looked it up. Actually, you're supposed to pick that option. I had no idea. I assumed that was the one that would get me into trouble, but apparently you're supposed to go down that route. Interesting. Okay, quite different from Saki, because picking where we give in was the bad ending. When Saki threw away the emptied rocket launcher like a bag with nothing in it, an indescribable feeling fell over Alice. Just casually as a rocket launcher, no big deal. Normally Alice felt that even if she pulled out something like that, she wouldn't know how to use it. Was it strange to think like that? Alice hadn't just prepared the rocket launcher, there had also been a shotgun, a grenade launcher, and a submachine gun. Saki used them easily and quickly scattering the approaching figures. I wonder if she knows about these because of her family's organization.
サキちゃん、こういう感じのゾンビとか出てくるゲームとか得意なの？いえ、ゲームはほとんどやりません。兄さんがやってるのを見たことはあるけど。
I see, so maybe she's able to use them because she thinks of them on that level, Alice thought to
実
herself
際
when...
に撃ったことがあるのはさっき自分で出した拳銃程度ですから。
While Alice stood flabbergasted, Saki ran on ahead. As she said, Saki was pulling out knives and pistols on her own and used them quite adeptly. As a result, the monsters from this generic schoolhouse horror flick were being cleared out. But the biggest target had stopped moving without either of them doing anything.
二人とも無事だったのね。そろそろ迎えに行こうと思ってたんだけど。
In the nearby hallway of a broken window, there was a figure of a person being illuminated by moonlight far too bright for the city. Sitting on the shoulder of the still figure with the axe was Maya.
迎えに行って、私たちを助けにでも来てくれるつもりだったのかな。
Alice said with an edge in her voice.
怪我とかしてない？大丈夫？
I don't know, do you really care? Maya affirmed that immediately, with seemingly no ulterior motives beneath her voice. In fact, she even seemed worried.
おかげさまで。心配なんてして、今度は何を企んでるの？何を言っているの？幸せな夢の案内役だもの。心配をするのは当たり前でしょ？
Maya jumped down, landing on the same level they were on.
それに、 私にとってもこの夢は予想外だったのよ。ほんとルーティがいきなりここまでできるだなんて驚いたわ。もしかしたら一番素質があるのは彼女。その弥生はどこに行ったの？トールの行き先も知ってるんじゃないの？
Alice took out her shears and made a snipping motion towards Maya. But Alice couldn't see the nightmare flower right now, so she doubted she'd be able to do anything with the shears. When she had been with Toru, she could practically feel its presence.
アリスなら分かってるんじゃないかしら。この間だってきちんとサキちゃんたちをあの部屋に連れ戻していたじゃない。あの部屋？
Lucky truly didn't remember that dream. In fact, she probably wouldn't remember this dream when she woke up either. After all, it was a dream. If you were able to remember them all, your mind would be exhausted. Maya giggled in front of them.
何かしたの？私は何も。いえ、ちょっとだけしたかしら。二人がほんの少しだけ素直になれるように素敵な香りを用意してあげたわ。
Yeah, they were pretty honest with themselves. They just kind of let things go. I was like, okay. In response to the gleeful Maya, Saki started to say something, but she stopped herself.
この辺、何があったのかしらね。
I couldn't show that. there was a lot going on. Even though she'd been waving around a rocket launcher earlier, around Maya, Saki's manner changed and she became like a small child.
そんなに心配なら、あのお部屋に戻ってごらんなさい。二人とももう帰ってるもの。
Oh gosh, we're not gonna see the aftermath, are we? Still wearing a grin, Maya turned her back on them and started walking. As she passed him, she touched the still Axeman and he dissolved into a pile of vegetation.
ちょっと待って、戻るってどうやって？頑張ってね。早く戻らないと、もう大変なことになっちゃうかも。
Oh, that's ominous.
大変なことって何？兄さんに何が起きるの？
Maya turned around and
それ
grinned.
じゃごきげんよう。またいつか夢の舞台でお会いしましょう。
Without answering the question, Maya disappeared into the air. How mysterious. Oh gosh, do I want to know what's happened in here? I mean, I know what's happened in here. Okay, good. They're not showing anything. Hopefully. Suddenly the doors of the room opened violently. Clepress jumped, clearly surprised at the sound. Clepress, that hurts. My hand. My left hand was being wrapped in a bandage. Thanks to that, the bleeding had stopped, but at this rate, it seemed like I would get a different injury.
なんともなかったの？
What do you mean? My quick answer garnered a sharp scowl from Saki.
ねえ、兄さん、何があったの？
I'm really surprised that giving into the dream ended up being okay. Like, there wasn't any serious consequences. I can't tell you, Saki. Rather than telling a lie, I stood
どう
fast.
してよ。
Because it was Club Prez's bad dream, like how we saw your dream the other night, ended up seeing hers too. I couldn't tell Saki about that.
よしよし。そういうわけだから、ごめんね、さきちゃん。
It wasn't entirely unexpected, but Club Prez was actually pretty good at wrapping up my hand. She had taken some sort of ointment out of her pocket and put it on me, so thanks to that, my pain was almost completely gone. Saki looked unconvinced, but apparently she decided not to get into it right here and now. But what had happened after that? Well, there was no reason to tell Saki about that, or so I thought.
二人きりになった途端、どうせ夢だろって言って私を押し倒して無理やり。
What the hell, Yayoi? You're just selling us out. You were the one doing all the stuff, too. No time, I felt something fly past the hair next to my ear. Oh, she's just gonna shoot her. Oh, hey, oh. I don't know how I feel about this. It wasn't until I saw the smoke rising from the muzzle I realized that it was from the gun Saki was holding. Her expression was as cold as the snow woman's. I felt like it would freeze me to my core.
兄さんってばそんなことをしたの。
Oh, yeah. My guy got the,
そんな見境なしに。
My guy got the Guac Guac 9000. Saki started to squeeze the trigger. I thought I was just about dead when...
で、それ本当なの？作り話よ。
Lucky looked over at Club Prez and stopped. So was that a dream? Did that actually happen or not? Was that like a dream? Because we're in a dream, so like a dream in a dream? Because she have just like dreamed us back to normal to where we didn't do that, but it technically happened in the dream. I don't know. My heart was still racing. I really thought I was gonna die if Saki shot me right here, right now, and the tension and fear was still surging through my veins.
わかりにくい冗談言うのをやめてもらえますか？
That was not a hard to understand joke.
そんなこと言われても、さきちゃんに信じてもらえないようなことをしてきたトールが悪いんじゃないの？
Look, looked away from me with a pouty face. Even as Alice sighed, she was staring at Club Prez's chest.
あら何？もしかしてアリスってそっちの趣味だったりするの？
Club Prez covered her chest with her hands. She looked like she was half seriously on guard.
違います。私はその辺ノーマルです。そうじゃなくて、さっきのあれ、弥生さんの夢だったんでしょ？悪い夢の花が咲いてるかもって思ったんだけど、トールがどうにかしたの？というか、できたの？
Oh yeah, we did something, alright. Alice brought out her shears. No, it just withered on its own. I had seen a flower on Club Prez's chest, but when everything was over, the stems and leaves had disappeared. The Club Prez still has that smell, that sweet smell of a nightmare. It lingered even though the flower had disappeared.
匂いって、何？そういうのが好きなの？
No, you know what I mean, don't you? And why was Saki secretly checking her own scent? Those nightmare flowers or whatever, they have a really strong smell, right? Like something sweet. Thought for sure everyone else had noticed it, but they all tilted their heads.
どんな匂いがするの？
That's something only we know about? Interesting. Really strong smell, sweet smell, like honey or pastries, right? It's just me. Is it just me? Everyone nodded. Apparently I was the only one who could smell it.
その匂いがまだ弥生からするって言うんだ。
Yeah, that time you cut Saki's flower off with your shears, the smell almost completely went away. But, though it was faint, I could still smell the scent on Club Prez.
そんなこと言って私の匂いを嗅ぎたいの？そういうのって言い訳とかされない方がいいんだけど。
We did a lot more than smell you just a moment ago.
その辺面倒だから無視するけど、それは多分きちんとあの花を摘み取れなかったんだと思うわ。うわ、順応早いわね。もうちょっと構ってくれてもよくないかしら。
If I did, I'd get shot by Saki, so no thanks. So Alice, you're saying I wasn't able to remove it.
だから単に種の状態に戻って眠ってるんじゃない？増えなかったけど減りもしなかったとか。
Okay, that makes sense. So wouldn't it be strange for it to grow again at any time? With Saki, the flower was removed properly, so it probably wouldn't grow again easily. But with Club Prez, they just had to sort of scatter the flower, so there's no telling when it would sprout again.
なるほど。ということはやり残したことがまたできるのかしら。何ですか？やり残したことって。
Ayo?
ホラーものって言ったらシャワーシーンじゃない。ほら、大事なところは映さないで、やたらと肩とか背中をアップにした。
Is it sad I know exactly what she's talking about? Did you dig the seat out with your shears or something?
やよ、そんなスプラッタ。ホラー映画じゃあるまいし。ホラー先輩、まだ他のホラー需要が残ってましたよ。胸元も開いてるし、いいんじゃないですか？ノーサンキュー。さきちゃんって本当トール以外にはスパルタだわ。
Club Prez looked rather discouraged. I wanted to do something about Saki only being soft with me, or rather about her being hard on everyone
だけど
else.
弥生さんはトールに夢を見られてるって気づいたんだ。さきちゃんもその夢の時には気づいてたんだっけ？よく覚えていません。そっか。もしかしてトールが見たって話した？
I did, but it seemed like she was already aware.
ね。嫌な夢見てた時にトールの声がしたのよ。その時に気づいちゃったの。ほんと助かったわ。トールが呼んでくれなかったらまだあの嫌な夢が続いてたかもしれないもの。
That dream probably would have overwritten things so that even the days Club Prez spent with us were spent all alone. It took a long time to get to that point, but I'm glad you were saved in the end.
そこまでのことは実際にあったことだし、今更かしら。そうじゃなかったことまであんな風にされたらたまらなかったけど。
Yeah, for sure. Then Club Prez
あれ
added.
は最後だけど、実は最初というか。何その全問答みたいなよくわからない答えは。
At that question, Club Prez gave me a wry
な
smile.
るな。だからね、トール。さっきのは助けてくれたお礼ってことで。
Remembering what had just happened, my eyes drifted to her mouth and chest before I averted them. I get the feeling she was grinning upon seeing me like that.
トール、い イチャイチャするなら状況考えないと。
Yeah, what do you mean? This is a dream. It's the perfect place to flirt. By the time I realized it was too late, Saki had taken out her gun again and was pointing at me.
本当に先輩が助かってよかったですね、兄さん。
Please don't. Before I could say anything, I heard Saki's gentle voice. It was as pretty as a flower mid-bloom. Smiling nervously, Alice took a few steps back as she tried to contain her fear.
じゃあ次はサキちゃんとイチャイチャしちゃおうかしら。
That would be a turn of events. The Prez went around behind Saki like Maya had and ran her hands along Saki's body.
ちょっと、弥生先輩。
Hey, yo?
あら、可愛い声出しちゃって。これからもいろいろありそうだし、仲良くしましょうよ。これからもって、やっぱりそうなのかな。
Yeah, don't get too friendly. If it's the same as Saki, then Club Prez will start showing up to the tea party. Saki let out a strange questioning sound as Club Prez toyed with her. We'd been invited to a dream from the tea party, and she was someone close to me. Since Club Prez also fulfilled those conditions, there was a good chance she would come to the room when she slept. Club Prez must have realized that too, or maybe she instinctively felt it, because she nodded next to me.
そういうことで。
Alice and Saki looked bewildered. They were probably trying to figure out if this was a good or bad thing. Probably bad. We'll see. In contrast to Club Prez's carefree attitude, the fact that I had gotten her involved weighed heavily on me. I really felt like I had to do something about it. I'm guessing we're going to slowly get together the whole gang here. And then that's where things are going to go. We're going to really be in the rabbit hole. We'll start figuring things out. We have to solve the mystery, I guess. I don't know what they did in Alice in Wonderland. What they had to do to get out. They had to, I don't know, face against the Queen of Hearts or something? Who knows? I dreamt again today. Maya and I were sitting at the table. Everything was laid out as usual. I'd gotten used to coming here, but just because I'd gotten used to it didn't mean that I wanted to be here. Maya had her elbows on the table as she peered at me sipping my tea as usual.
どうしたのかしら。今日はなんだかずいぶんご機嫌斜めみたいだけど。
Have I ever been in a good mood here?
ええ、あるわよ。他の女の子と話しているときはいつも楽しそうだわ。
He was having a lot of fun with Yayoi. A lot of fun. A brisk, quick hop from my leapt over the table and into my
な
lap.
のに私と一緒のときはなんだかいつもムスッとしているんだもの。
Yeah, I mean, the conditions for you being here are quite mysterious. You know the reason, don't you?
ええ、そうやって艶がってるのはとっても素敵よ。
I wish they would have a real conversation and like talk about like what happened and get to it. They're clearly avoiding it. Doesn't make me happy at all and get off of me.
いやよ。
Okay, refusing bluntly, Maya grinned from her usual place on my lap. I could have pushed her off, but if I was capable of lifting a hand against her, then I wouldn't be having these problems in the first place. Ultimately, all I could do was sit and drink with a sour look on my face.
本当になんでそんなに不満そうなの？もっと楽しそうにしていればいいのに。
Why are you showing dreams like that to people other than the person whose dream it is? Mensaki's dream and Club Prez's dream. No, not their dreams, their desires, or their past that didn't need to be seen by me. Was you dragging that stuff out?
それは。
You're saying that you weren't the one showing the dreams,
え
right?
え、そうよ。私は舞台を整えるだけなのよ。
Yeah, but could you stop setting the stage? This isn't a play. Put my teacup on a table and pause. Then who's showing them? I asked as I stared straight into Maya's eyes, but she just giggled and wrapped her hands around my neck.
知りたい？だけどやっぱりダメだわ。前も言ったじゃない。私はそんな話をしたいわけじゃないの。
That smile. She pressed her index finger against my lips as she'd done before. She didn't push hard, she just touched my lips, but I was unable to open my mouth.
私だって心配なのよ。このままで大丈夫なのかって。
She must have heard me thinking, what do you mean?
だっていつまで経っても妹離れできてないんですもの。知ってる？妹とはずっと一緒にいられるけれど結婚はできないのよ。
I mean, you could. I know that. I removed her finger and I was able to speak again. That has nothing to do with you or me anymore, does it?
ならそうかしら。本当に本気でそう思ってるの？
I wonder. Of course I do. Because Maya was no longer with us. No matter what I did, I would never see her anywhere but here, so it had nothing to do with her.
私が大好きだって思うみたいに私のことを大好きみたいだから心配してたけど
Maya's finger traced my cheek, sending a chill through me.
そこまで言うなら私以外の女の人も誰か気になったりしてるんじゃないかしら
Oh yeah, absolutely. Didn't we talk about that before?
女の子ってそういう話が大好きなのよそれに大事なことだもの誰に任せればいいか考えなくちゃ
Mind your own business. Though that was my reply when asked who I was interested in, I suddenly thought of Yayoi. Just then I thought of Club Prez.
その顔はやっぱりいるのね
Anything wrong with that?
悪くなんてないわそれが私じゃなければだけど
As long as it isn't with you. Curious that you say that, because I remember a certain bad ending. Why would it be with you? Why would it be you? When I said this, Maya looked up at me. I looked back at her, putting on a brave front. As I could muster, we probed each other's attentions as though there was an endurance contest, or maybe it would be best to call it a staring contest.
だけどそれはきっと大変だと思うわ
There are no easy paths.
そうなんだけどうまくいくのかしら
What are you saying you know?
何でもって言ったら
Before I could ask what she meant, Maya kicked the ground and moved away from me.
そう選ぶんだったらそれでいいわ私はそれをずっと見ていてあげる
Wait, if you know everything, then what kind of dream is this?
知りたい
Of course you
だ
will.
けど教えてあげない
That'd be too
知
easy.
りたければそうねいつか自分でわかるようになったら教えてあげる
Then I'll already know. What's the point of that? Only Maya's voice remained as she melted away. Maya, hey Maya. What good is it to tell me when I already know? I almost said that, but she was already gone. What does she mean by that? I didn't understand it at all if Maya really knew everything then. Is this Maya's dream? Ridiculous. I didn't quite have enough common sense to be able to say that. Just then I heard the doors open behind me.
あら、ドール？やっぱりこの部屋に繋がるのね。
Ah, Claprez. Wearing the same dream outfit she'd worn before, Claprez entered the room. She looked around and then gave a
ちょうど
nod.
いいわ、ドール。今度の土日って暇かしら？
Sunday night I have work, but anytime other than that, I'm open. She didn't care about my circumstances, she was probably just asking to be polite. When things were this convenient, it made me suspect that Maya might have done something crazy. No, probably not. The club president didn't understand why I had such a strange attitude, so she tilted her head.
何デートデート
Looking very interested in the conversation, Alice stuck her nose in from the side. Well, where did you come
なん
from?
だか今面白くない言葉が聞こえたんですけれど
Saki came in behind us with Alice's toe. She must have heard the word date because she was giving me a cold
あ
look.
ら、なんだかんだで勢ぞろいね。
It's Super Smash Bros. Everyone's
い
here.
ない間に何かしてたように見えたんですけど
Not really. Did you need something? I couldn't afford to get flustered just because everyone was here. I calmed my emotions and turned towards Club Prez
貸
again.
しにしておいた分を返してもらおうと思ったのよ。
What do I owe you?
弥生先輩兄さんに何をさせるつもりですか
Saki was a little on guard against Club Prez. It was true that Club Prez looked like a bit of a reckless person, but I wanted to think there was no need to be that
弥
defensive.
生さきちゃんが警戒するようなことを何かしたの
なんか二人の中で私が信用されてないのはどういうことかしら。
Don't you think it's because of your usual attitude?
心外だわ。私はいつも表向きは頼れる先輩であろうとしてるのに。
Yeah, the surface. That's a key word in that sentence. On the surface is exactly because you have that kind of attitude. But Club Prez knew that she was just fooling around. Well, if I owe you, then I can't refuse, but what should I do this time? By the way, the reason I was in her debt was, of course, because of the sleep pill she gave me. Ah, okay, that's why.
今
I do
回
remember
は
that.
って今まではどんなことしてきたの
Oh, nothing much. Things like cleaning up Club Prez's room. The mess had been awful, and it didn't just take up Club Prez's room. It had been encroaching into the hallway. Also, he had finally snapped, and with a smile, forced her older sister into cleaning it up. Club Prez hated cleaning, so she summoned me to do it in her place. As a result, Asahi and I thoroughly cleaned Club Prez's
あの
room.
時はトールに私の恥ずかしいところまで見られちゃったわ。
兄さん、何をしたんですか？
Don't worry about it. Just so there's no misunderstandings, the stuff she wouldn't want me to see was mostly picked up by Asahi, like clothes and
ま
underwear.
あ散らかり放題になった部屋なんてのは年頃の女の子としては恥ずかしいところだよね。
I mean, probably. I think it's more common for guys. Hearing Alice's guileless words, Club Press was quietly
そうい
shocked.
うからにはアリスはきちんと片付けできてるのよ。ね
うん、もともと私は持ってるものほとんどないっていうのもあるけど片付けは得意だよ。
Does she remember what her place looks like now? I get the feeling that basically Alice was almost always in this room. She didn't have any belongings. Could it be the contents of her pockets? I saw her take out keys, hand mirrors, lipsticks, candy, things you expect to be in someone's pockets. Was the inside of her pockets huge, like that blue phone booth that came from the future? And was it clean and tidy, like Alice said?
なんか兄さんが変なことを考えてるみたいですけど。
Yeah, it's pretty safe to assume that. No way, what are you talking about, Saki? Ha 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 ha.
他にまだ何かあったんじゃないの？
そうね。あとは一日嘘の彼氏になってもらったり、図書館とかレンタルビデオを回ってもらったりしたかしら。
Ah.
嘘彼氏？何それ？
There was this bad, persistent guy, and I played along with Club Prez to drive him
それ
away.
後に引かなかったの？
Well, what happened with that was Club Prez and I went on a fake date to prove it, and we ran into some of the young men from Hasano Security. Then had jokingly called me young master, and soon enough, the stalking from the guy had stopped.
その折に関しては、うちの会社の社員が先輩にご迷惑をかけた上に誤解を招くような真似をして申し訳ありませんでした。
That read like a public apology.
ああ、いいのいいの。おかげで変なのも寄ってこなくなったし、気にしないで。
Alice wasn't able to digest the situation, so she tilted her head and looked as if a question mark was floating above her. It would have been a pain to explain to her. So, what are you gonna have me do this weekend?
例のバイトが入ったから手伝ってほしいのよ。
Okay, sounds easy enough. Ah, that. I was relieved at hearing a saner request than I thought I would.
ちゃんとトールにもいつも通りバイト代は出すから。
Oh, wow, I get paid for it too? Wow, that's very nice. No, I'm just helping you out. You're the one who's really doing the work, so you don't have to do that for me.
何言ってるのよ。なんだかんだで一日付き合わせるんだし、あんなの普通はバイト代でももらわないとやってられないじゃない。
I don't know if it's with you, I could do it for free, I
あ
guess.
のさ、あんなのってトールに何させてるの？
一日私の奴隷よ。
Oh, never mind. Abort! Abort! Toru, no! No! Never mind.
兄さん？
Please wait, Club Prez. It's true that you do treat me pretty much as a slave, and I offer you unconditional submission, but could we avoid saying things in the way that Saki will misunderstand?
普段からサキちゃんに絶対服従なのに、弥生にも絶対服従するの？
And Alice's casual remark my excuses stopped cold.
確かに奴隷って言い方は良くなかったわね。
That's true. Could you at least call me your assistant or
結
something?
局、兄さんは何をするんですか？
あれトール、さきちゃんにあのバイトのこと話してないの？前に揉めたって言ってたじゃない。ほら、ベッドがどうとか。
Hey. Saki twitched.
ああ、ベッドから知らない女の匂いがしたあの時の話ですよね。
We don't talk about that. Alice afraid the atmosphere around Saki tried to run away by herself. She literally just ghosted. She was even pulling a key out and planning to leave the room. I snapped my fingers and closed the doors firmly. Where she was satisfied with my explanation that it was because Club Prez was tired and took a nap.
その前にバイトがあったとか、兄さんが手伝ってたとか聞いてませんでしたし、それにその時から疑問に思ってたんですけど。
What doubts? I'm pretty sure I told you everything.
兄さんは寝ている弥生先輩に何もしなかったんですか？
そういえば、起きたらなんだか服
what?
が少し脱げてたような。
Lies and slander. Did you enjoy running me into a corner? And that happened because you were around so much in your sleep. Even though Saki knew it was a joke, she liked to put pressure on me anyways. I wish she wouldn't.
そこでトールが手出ししたり、何かいたずらができるとはかけらも思ってないんだけど。
Yeah, don't ruin my good name, okay?
まあ、確かにそうですね。兄さんですし。
Yeah, Saki of all people should know that we would never make a move on a woman. Why am I being assailed from all sides? Alice seemed to pity me.
愛
Yeah, that was a bit of a stretch. I could do without such tough love. These girls are all so mean to me. Why is that? Hey, look, we're back in reality again. That's good, right? Club Prez's part-time job could take more than a day. For sure. We decided to get as much done as we could on Saturday rather than Sunday when I had to go to my part-time job in the evening. Wow, you really don't work that much then, do you? Anyways, guys, we end it here. I think this is a good stopping point. Ended up getting through all of Yayoi's stream and had some rather explicit scenes. Yeah, that's for sure. Yeah. Anyways, it seems like we're getting pretty close to her route. So maybe next episode we'll get onto her route. I'm not sure how long that's gonna take. We might have to wait till we dream again, and sometimes it takes an episode or two. Anyways, though, that was interesting. We'll leave it off here. I'm enjoying getting to see more sides of Yayoi's character. We're getting to kind of explore her backstory and things like that. We got to see that she's kind of been a pretty lonely person. I mean, for understandable reasons. I'm not saying it's justified. I'm not saying anybody should have ever done that to her. I'm saying I have a new understanding of why she would have felt alone in those situations. But people are assholes. I'm just gonna say that people are assholes, and you don't need to judge people just because they're different from you. Celebrate our differences. Like we got a lot of cool people in the world. There's a lot of not so great people, but there's some really cool people, and just because they're a little bit different from you doesn't mean that you should make fun of them. That's the message of the day, guys. Anyways, we'll end it here, and I'll see you in the next episode. Have a good one.